From Walter White to Tony Soprano, some of the greatest TV characters ever created, especially the anti-heroes, appear in crime shows. The criminal underworld is a great vehicle for morally dubious characters, like The Wire's business-savvy drug dealer Stringer Bell. This genre has also given us lovable characters on the right side of the law, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine's Captain Holt, and crooked cops who walk a fine line between the two, like The Shield's Vic Mackey. These are the greatest TV characters from the well-trodden crime genre. Jessica Fletcher Murder, She Wrote. The premise of Murder, She Wrote is a doozy. Jessica Fletcher is a best-selling author of mystery novels who uses her know-how to solve murders in her quaint little town of Cabot Cove, Maine. Angela Lansbury made for an unlikely crime fighter, but she gripped audiences everywhere for a whopping 12 seasons. There's a grim fan theory that Jessica was the one committing all the murders, since she seemed to have all the answers and it was unlikely that so many murders would take place in such a sleepy small town. But I'm 99% sure Jessica wasn't the killer. Charlie Cale Poker Face. The conceit of Poker Face is a little far-fetched. Charlie Cale has the uncanny ability to tell whether or not a person is lying, and she uses that superpower to solve murders. Her ability as a human lie detector is never explained, but it has proven to be a terrific storytelling device in this unique Case of the Week whodunit series. This amateur sleuth has proven to be the perfect role for Natasha Lyonne, outside of But I'm a Cheerleader. Lyonne has a ton of fun with Charlie's quippy one-liners and rambling comedic riffs, but she also perfectly recaptures Columbo's razor-sharp detective skills. Captain Ray Holt. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The inciting incident of Brooklyn Nine-Nine is the arrival of the titular precinct's new no-nonsense captain, Ray Holt. Holt instantly butts heads with his most troublesome detective, Jake Peralta, because their philosophy around police work is diametrically opposed. But as the series went on, Holt became the loving father figure that Jake always needed. The genius of Andre Braugher's performance is his blend of deadpan hilarity and genuine pathos. His line deliveries are delightfully dry, but underneath that dry humor is a human being who's had to overcome decades of institutional prejudice to earn his seat at the table. Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock. There had been dozens of on-screen portrayals of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson when Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss created their BBC series Sherlock, but they cooked up a unique take on Arthur Conan Doyle's detective duo. Sherlock recontextualizes the classic mysteries into a modern-day setting, with Watson documenting their adventures in a blog. Benedict Cumberbatch gives one of the quintessential Holmes performances in this series. He captures the character's unmatched intellect, his insufferable arrogance, and his drug-addled eccentricity, but with a contemporary edge. Vic Mackey. The Shield. The Shield's Vic Mackey deserves to be in the same conversation with other iconic TV antiheroes like Walter White and Tony Soprano. The Shield upended the traditions of the police procedural genre by making the cops the bad guys. Vic and the rest of his unit are all corrupt cops who believe laws are for thee, not for me. Vic was not a likable character, but he was a fascinating one. Michael Chiklis brought an underlying humanity to the character. Although he was blatantly corrupt, he was living by his own skewed moral code to convince himself he was still the hero. He loved the job, even though he did it all wrong. Kim Wexler. Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul was an opportunity to fill in the backstories of Breaking Bad characters like Mike Ehrmantraut, Gus Fring, and, of course, Saul Goodman. But the writers also had the ingenious idea to introduce brand new characters whose fates were unknown. Just knowing that Kim Wexler wasn't in Breaking Bad kept Better Call Saul viewers hanging in suspense. Kim was one of the most lovable characters in the Breaking Bad universe. She's kind, strong, supportive, fun-loving but also hard-working, and unlike her husband, she uses her law degree for good. Fans were dreading the moment that Kim would meet a grim demise, but her ending was ultimately more bittersweet and melancholic than that. Willie Jack. Reservation Dogs. Sterling Harjo's crime caper Reservation Dogs introduced us to a bunch of lovable small-time crooks trying to raise enough money to head out to California. All these kids were great characters, from the endearingly naive Cheese to the tragically grief-stricken Elora. But the best character in the show is Willie Jack. Willie Jack's deadpan demeanor made her easily the funniest character in the ensemble, but she was also the most wholesome, too. She's a tomboy, she loves her parents, and above all, she's the glue holding the res dogs together. Barry Berkman. Barry. When it was first announced, Bill Hader's Barry seemed as gimmicky and one-note as television comes. It's a dark comedy about a hitman who dreams of becoming an actor, and struggles to break free of his criminal life so he can pursue his Hollywood aspirations. But when it arrived, Barry was hailed as a revelation. The premise might be gimmicky, but Hader played the emotions with 100% authenticity. Barry Berkman turned out to be one of the most complex and captivating characters on television. He's got an innate talent for killing, and he hates that that's the thing he's best at. He wants to live a normal life, but he's a cold-blooded sociopath at heart. Stringer Bell The Wire. David Simon and his team of writers came up with all kinds of great characters to round out the ensemble of The Wire. Tommy Carcetti is the perfect caricature of self-serving politicians, Kima Greggs is an endearing mix of brutal badass and vulnerable human being, and Bubbles is the most lovable addict in Baltimore. Stringer Bell was a unique creation in that he was a ruthless drug lord who took his job seriously. He was a cold-hearted monster who would order the murder of a child without flinching, but he also took business classes so he could build up his drug empire as if it were a legitimate company. Jimmy McGill, Saul Goodman. Breaking Bad. A Better Call Saul. Bob Odenkirk provided the perfect comic relief as Heisenberg's lawyer Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad, but he revealed his previously untapped dramatic abilities when he took center stage in his own spin-off, Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul went back to show how legitimate lawyer Jimmy McGill transformed into the criminal lawyer we saw in Breaking Bad. Whenever we see Saul in Breaking Bad, he's putting on a clown show. But in Better Call Saul, we see exactly how Jimmy became so broken that he decided to put on the mask of a clown. It's a surprisingly tragic origin for such a seemingly cartoonish character. Thread My Profile. Sophia Falcone. The Penguin Image via Max. Ounce Cobb went from a secondary villain in The Batman to a fully fleshed-out anti-hero with a tragic backstory and understandable motivations in his spin-off series, The Penguin. But the real standout star of the show was Kristen Milioti as one of OZ's criminal colleagues, Sophia Falcone. Sophia is introduced as a cold-hearted killer, but her origin story goes back to show how she ended up like that. Her false imprisonment in Arkham Asylum, and the abuse and